Jason, welcome to the show.
Trinity, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You brought your book with us today. Do you want to start by telling our viewers a little bit about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So 5-Year Millionaire, it's a story of hope for regular people of how they can start with something as little as $4,000 and grow it to $1.2 million in 5 years, just earning 10% interest a month. That was my story of how I did it using call options and put options. And I just documented the journey and the process and wanted to share it with people.
And I read about your story. You grew up in Detroit. How did your childhood experiences shape how you went about writing this book, and what do you hope viewers take away from it?
Yeah, so we grew up pretty poor. I was sleeping in sleeping bags. We didn't have a bed. I thought beds were for grown-ups because they needed a good night's rest to go to work. And I went to my friend's house and I said, wow, you have a bed? And he kind of looked at me like I was funny, but that was the first time I kind of realized we were poor. We had bars on the window, gangs in the neighborhood, drugs in the neighborhood, but we always had love and a place to sleep. But that was the time where I said, how do I get on the other side of the proverbial tracks? And I didn't sing, I didn't rap, I didn't play sports. And so for me, I started hearing about the stock market and said, maybe that's my ticket to wealth. And so I really wanted to make sure I get an education as well as learn about this elusive stock market and see how I can make it work for me and my family.
But how did those experiences shape your overall financial mindset?
Yeah, so coming from that neighborhood, we didn't have a lot of resources. So if I didn't get a scholarship, I actually wouldn't have went to school. So by having less, it actually made me think outside the box. What I talk about in the book is how I took a $10,000 student loan and I grew it to over 6 figures as a 21-year-old college student because I applied for financial aid and I knew that they would overpay the account and give me a refund. So coming from humble means and without resources, you always had to think outside the box, be a little bit more scrappy, kind of carve out your own path. And I saw my mother work 2 jobs and she still never got ahead. And so I realized I was going to have to do something that was going to change our family's financial future.
What is your number one habit or principle that you instill in your everyday life to help guarantee financial success?
Yeah, the number one principle is create some margin to take calculated risk. So for me, when I made a lot of money, I actually lost it all and then I document myself making it back. But what happened was I got a job and I based my lifestyle off my hourly and I was using my commission to reinvest, which means when I took a calculated risk, if I lost any money, it wouldn't have changed my lifestyle. And so I live that same way today is I live below my means. And so I have a margin that I can use to take calculated risk, whether that's stock market, real estate, and I allow my money to work harder for me than I can work for it.
And in today's world, there are countless options out there when it comes to budgeting or investment applications. Is there any that you specifically use or that you would recommend to achieve that financial success and reach your goals?
Yeah, so with respect to tools, most people don't know that you can create a practice account and you can practice the stock market in a safe or a virtual environment. So I would recommend people you can open a Webull account, a Robinhood account, even Charles Schwab with their Thinkorswim platform has a practice trading account. So open an account, get access to the tools, number one, and then number two, practice in a safe environment where you don't have to worry about losing money, but you can learn the game and learn the industry.
Now, growing up the way you did, with limited resources in Detroit, really by yourself, right? So, I mean, how did you get those resources to help steer you in the right direction, go about learning about the different opportunities that were out there?
So I'm really self-taught. A story comes to my mind. I remember we were riding our bikes one day and a guy pulled up in a convertible BMW and 3 of me and my friends, we just kind of ran up to him and he froze and he had this look like, I'm about to get carjacked. And we actually said, what do you do for a living? And he wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
But to my point is we were always looking for resources and somebody to mentor us and it just wasn't really there. So I just kind of carved my own path. I was reading books like Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I was in network marketing, so it was a lot of personal development and leadership stuff taught in that industry. And I just kept chipping away at anybody that had knowledge or information that I could use to better myself.
And where can our viewers find your book?
Yeah, so everywhere that books are sold, they can pick up 5-Year Millionaire, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Amazon, everywhere that books are sold.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Again, Jason Brown, author of 5-Year Millionaire and stock market expert at Stock Market Expert and thebrownreport.com. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.